English with deck. Okay, now today's topic I'm sure may come across a little controversial. It may be met with some disbelief. It may come as a shock to some of you. But let's do it anyway. Let's see how you feel about it. Let's see how you react to what I'm about to say. No, I joke. But it's not that serious, but I do think that it is quite a sort of roadblock for some people. What am I talking about? Well, I am talking about nothing other than chopsticks and using them. Now, for a lot of people, well, primarily from, let's say, Europe, England, America, Australia, etc., New Zealand, of course, and a whole host of other countries, chopsticks are not the main culinary tool. You know, they are not the go-to utensil. What do we use instead? Well, primarily knife and fork, and of course a spoon. Now, don't get me wrong when I'm about to say this, but don't get me wrong. Forks are fantastic. You can do a lot with a fork. Spoons are brilliant. You know, if it wasn't for a spoon, it would take a lot longer to eat many foods. It is a lot more convenient for many things. And then the good old knife, without which we would not be able to cut up or even manage most foods. Okay? We could manage them, but it would be a lot messier. So don't get me wrong, knife, fork, spoon, and everything in between is absolutely essential. However, this is the controversial part. Prepare yourself. Sit down in readiness. I believe firmly that chopsticks are far superior. What? Eh? What? Get out! Maybe you're thinking. Or maybe one of you, two of you are thinking, okay, I'm curious. Why? Well, the reason is simple. They are more convenient. Chopsticks, once you have become accustomed to chopsticks, they are so much more convenient. Take salad, for instance, right? You try and eat a bowl of salad with a fork and a knife, but usually just a fork. You prod, you have to fold, poke, eat, poke, prod, fold, eat, poke. It takes time. It's a bit messy. There's a good chance it will fall off. Of course, you can do it with the proper way with a knife and be oh yes, dear, I am sophisticated. Look at me with my knife and fork and my salad. Oh yes, eating every piece of corn like a proper person who is educated. But, if you are accustomed to using chopsticks, you have become used to using chopsticks. Stuff like salad is so much easier. And don't even get me started on eating crisps, as we call them in the UK, otherwise known as chips for most of the world. But crisps, a packet of crisps. I put my hand into that bag to get the crisps, and it's probably going to get some seasoning, some salt or something on my hand. I mean, sure, I can rip open the bag so it's opened up, But still, I've then got to pick up crisp by crisp and get my hands dirty. Chopsticks. Pop, ooh, pop, ooh, pop. Yeah, it's so much simpler, cleaner, more efficient. And then, of course, we have all the other foods, the meats, the veggies, noodles, of course. To a degree, even pasta. I will say, pasta is on the fence situation there. Some pastas are in my opinion, much more preferable with a fork and or a spoon. But yeah, and of course noodles. Many people will eat noodles with a fork. I personally, and I mean, this is why they are eaten traditionally with chopsticks, but they are so much better when eaten with chopsticks. And on top of all that, chopsticks are, well, great if you want to eat slower. You can eat very fast with chopsticks. We've all seen people eating bowls of rice or noodles, whatever, like. But generally speaking, for the general population, we eat a little slower with chopsticks, and we usually have less on our chopsticks, or a smaller portion size per mouthful, should I say. And, you know, it's quite amusing to think. I remember before I came to Asia for the first time, I could use chopsticks, but I was not elegant with it. I was not. I could do it. I could get the food from my plate to my mouth without much issue. But most meals, something would spill. Most times, it would be a little embarrassing if I was like sharing a dish with the table, especially when trying to eat things like tomatoes. The cherry tomatoes, the little round ones, um, without stabbing it, without stabbing it with the chopsticks or the fork. To actually pick up, it used to be a bit tricky. But over time, I became accustomed and I developed the mindset of which I've just talked about. And I do think overall chopsticks are much more versatile than a fork for the majority of foods. And just to piggyback onto the topic of chopsticks, soup spoons. Now, if you have ever eaten soup at an Asian dish, an Asian culinary dish, the spoon you will notice is not like a Western soup spoon. The Western soup spoon is quite long. It's like there's no real well in the spoon part. How to explain this? A regular spoon, like what you eat dessert with and stuff, it has a long handle. And it doesn't have a deep curved part. The bit which the liquid goes into is not that deep. However, when it comes to the spoons which are traditionally eaten with Asian cuisine, they are fantastic. You get a good amount in your spoon. It's less spillage, less likely to spill, and even for solid foods like with fried rice, etc. You get a good portion size. The weight is right. They're brilliant. I can't say enough about those. And I do think if I was to go back to not using those spoons regularly and not using chopsticks regularly, it would be a little inconvenient. Initially, at least. I mean, obviously, I did it for the majority of my life. But I think it would be a bit inconvenient, to be honest with you. Okay, now today's phrases. Let's go. Number 1, I'm getting there. Number 2, still a beginner. Number 3, I dropped it. Number 4, not bad actually. Okay, let's go. All together now. You know, mate, I'm still getting there with chopsticks. I'm definitely still a beginner. I mean, I'm not bad actually, but last night I was eating some sushi with my family and boop, I dropped it right in my lap. It made a right mess. There you go. Okay, guys. Well, as always, I hope it is a fascinating episode for you, and I hope you can use some of the vocabulary in your language studies. Okay, guys, all the best. Have a great day. Enjoy your evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Keep studying. Bye now.